Hey everybody, I'm Andy.
Hi, I'm Tanya. Welcome to LATHE Mountain Living.
Happy to see you guys here. We're going to, if you want, we're going to take you along on all of our adventures and projects.
Shit and shenanigans.
This channel is going to be heavy on metalwork. So if you hate metalwork, not the place for you, right?
Sure, but if you like cooking, art, chickens, dogs,
Gardening,
cats, gardening,
tractors,
bike riding,
then maybe this is the place for you.
so hang out, see what happens.
Hope you enjoy our show. That booze totally loosened you.
We're just gonna go check and see what Andy's up to this morning. Might get a little bit more snow today. Yay. Hey, honey.
Hey babe.
What you doing?
Well, today's project, hey everybody, is making 4 of these.
What are you gonna do with them?
They're for a tool, a measuring tool. But this is a radius groove, and the first thing I need to do is turn this into a tool that can cut that radius groove.
Okay, let's see it get done.
This is the nut that holds the grinding wheel on this machine. And it's right bagged out. It's actually not the nut, it's the threads on this piece here, which is going to be a future thing we're going to do. Is we're going to record making a new one of these. The threads in the nut, they're actually fine. It's the threads on this arbor, we'll call it an arbor, that are all bagged out. So this is called a universal work holding fixture. We're going to end up clamping this in here, and this will allow us to put angles on this. This is what's going to let me make it be nice and straight. And you'll see as I go, I'll talk through some of the important things. Okay, so I'm going to want to hold this tool bit in this little vise, and I'm going to want to put angles on either side of it, clearance angles. So it's really important to start so that I don't end up with compound angles, to dial this surface in true. Once this is dialed in true, I can adjust this swivel and everything will be square. I won't be creating crazy compound angles. Pretty darn close. So now I'm dialing this surface in, and then it will also be true to these other surfaces, so that as I make adjustments, I'm only making an adjustment in one direction. That's super important. So now this should be dialed 0. And now I need to dial this in 0. And then I want to check that this is still 0, just to make sure that this surface is actually true to this surface here. So now this is the last one that has to be done kind of like from scratch. That's good. I want to double check that this is good. This should already be 0. Yeah, and it is. That's nice to see. Cup wheel spacer. Now I've got to change my pulleys out. I had the last wheel I was running on here was a diamond wheel. So diamond wheels need to run really, really slow compared to the aluminum oxide wheel that I'm putting on there. So small to big gives you really slow speed. First day with the new hands. Setting a stop now so that it stops exactly there every time. I might adjust that a little before I get going here. It's the start of a setup. My dust collector, so I don't have to breathe in all this metal and grinding dust. This is the dust collector. Just a little diamond dresser so I can keep the wheel clean and sharp. So I've got this basically roughed down to close to where I want it to be. About 1/8 over the finish size. Finish size isn't crazy critical for this thing, but now what I'm going to do is create clearance angles on both sides of these edges so that they actually become cutting edges. I'm going to put a 5-degree angle on there. Pretty common primary clearance angle. So I'm going to put a 5-degree clearance angle on both sides. So I've painted this black with marker, and if all of our dial indicating earlier worked out well, what we should start to see is a silver line as I grind, but it should be parallel to this top edge, not cocked off going on one angle or another angle. this side's done now. And what I'm going to do is put a clearance angle on the other side. So the things that are involved in that is I'm going to have to adjust this knuckle to the 5 degrees the other way. I'm going to have to turn this wheel around. I'm no doubt going to have to reorient the vacuum so that everything clears, because this cutting edge is going to go from here to way over here, and so everything's going to change. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And what we should see, because we dialed everything in carefully to start with, is that as we start grinding on this side, again, the line should come up perfectly parallel to the top surface of the tool bit. There's the 5 degrees the other way. And our height's going to have to be adjusted as well, I believe. Okay, should be good to go. Turn on my dust sucker. So yeah, you can see. Can you see that? So now I'm going to take the universal work holding fixture off of here, get this wheel off of here, and put my radius grinding fixture up on there. And then parts of the universal work holding fixture are going to mount to this. And that's how we're going to put the radius on the end of the tool to make our radius bottomed groove. Okay, so here's the deal. This whole project is already done. The parts are in service. You're going to get to see all the rest of finishing it. But the thing is, when it came to put the radius on the end of the tool, it's a long setup. There's a lot involved. I got a long ways down a particular road that was the wrong road, and I was able to kind of hokey it up and make it work. The tool actually worked fine, but the whole method I used was like wrong. So I mean, could have been a little lazy, could have been in a hurry. You decide. Maybe something else altogether. But I'm circling back around. I'm going to do a proper job of it this time. And I'm going to show you guys how to do a proper job of putting a radius on a tool instead of that shitty job I was going to show you. So pretend this is just square. Pretend we didn't ever do a lousy job of setting up for a radius. We're going to start as though this is just square. Everything we did up until now with putting the reliefs on the sides, that was all fine. That was legit. But now we're going to fix that. So pretend it's flat, and we're just going to fix that up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dial this, this spindle in and get it running true to the table, so that then later I can dress the face of my wheel, and I'll know that the face of my wheel is dead straight to the table. super important when you're doing anything with radius is that you know where you are from 90 degrees, 0 degrees, 180 degrees. Like you can't have things all off or you'll end up with a mess in the end. Next thing I need to do is get this surface here running true to this way. The reason is I don't want my tool coming in one way or the other. I want it coming in exactly straight. It's not gonna let me fucking do it. Son of a bitch. Jeez, I hate this dial. Need a different dial. I hate this dial slightly less. Okay, loosen up my locks. Now I did lose this handle. Used to be one just like this over here. Seem to have lost it. It may be somewhere, but I can't find it. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna put something on here to protect it and like clamp some vice grips on there, just so I can actually do this thing. So I just threw a couple pennies in there. I don't want to ruin this shaft. I'm gonna make a new one of these. That's something we're gonna do one of these days. But I also don't want to loosen my locks off all the way, because then this thing will get kind of floppy and I won't get a true reading on my dial. So now I have these just gently snugged, just ever so gently snugged. I can move this and nothing's flopping around. It's all still tight. That will work. Okay, so this is now true to this. We can move on to the next step. So what I'm getting ready to do now is get the center of the fixture centered to the grinding wheel. It's important. Again, everything has to be straight and centered and square and plumb. Oh, there, that's pretty centered. Happy enough with that. I'm going to set a stop so that I can go to and from center as I please. So now that we know we're centered to the wheel with our main bearing here, I'm going to get the tool centered in this direction. I'm going to get it where I want it in this direction. And then I'm going to set the ends of the travel. I just need a little piece of paper so I can measure when I'm getting close. Okay, so I'm coming back this way with this slide and I'm finding this edge. That's it right there. I'm gonna go another 1/4 thou thickness of the paper, and then I'm gonna set my 0 on my dial. We know we want to, this is a 1/4 inch wide, so it's a 1/8 radius. So I've already moved the 1/4 thou to compensate for the paper. So in theory, this edge right here is aligned with the center of this bearing. So now I'm going to move 125 thou and establish that radius. So now the center of the tool is aligned with the center of the fixture. Setting the opposite slide that's at 90 degrees to that last one to establish the position of my radius on the end of this tool. So there I can feel it. Now I'm going to go the same 4th thou to make up for the paper, but I'm going to go more than an 1/8. And the reason is, if I went exactly an 1/8, as I'm coming in with this hand wheel, I'd basically be hitting the end at the same time as I was hitting both sides. And I don't want to do that. I want to take a goodly amount off the end before, by advancing this, we get anywhere near the sides. So I want to completely remove everything that's on there. So I'm going to go the 125. I'm going to go another 25 thou. So we'll have to take 25 thou off. We'll touch here first, just at the very end. And then as I advance, we'll touch more and more and more. And then as we get close to that 25 thou on this dial, we'll be getting close to making a full lap all the way around and having it clean up. So now I'm setting up the end of travel. So this is, 90 degrees. I don't want to go all the way to 90 degrees. I want to stop at like 89 degrees here and 89 degrees here. Reason being, if you try for exactly 90 and anything's the slightest bit off, this back edge will actually get nailed by this side of the wheel, and it can make an undercut and just completely bugger the whole thing up. So I want to come super close to a complete 180 degree blend, but I'm going to stop just shy so that I don't get into trouble and ruin everything I've done so far. So this thing wasn't really meant to do close to 180 degrees. You can see my end stops here. They're all kind of clustered in on each other. So I'm going to do my best to get these two sides matching each other. So what I want to see on my dial, because I don't want it all the way to 90, I want to see as the tool moves this way, I want to see the dial moving to the plus. And that'll tell me that I'm not all the way to 90 degrees. And I am limited to where I can stop things. I have no more adjustment in this. So whatever this side is, I don't know if it's a degree or two, it doesn't even matter for what I'm doing. But I'm just going to see that here moves about 5 thou in that range. So then I'm going to want to turn it all the way around over here. Yeah, so from here, as I go back, it goes the same, about 5 thou and about the same amount of travel. And I know that both sides are slightly shy of the 90 degrees. And just based on the graduations on the machine, we're pretty darn close to a degree and a half, maybe a degree and a third. That's fine for what we're doing. So we touched off from the center finder tool, and that's all well and fine. It's probably pretty darn close, but the dial never lies. So what I don't really care, well, what I should be seeing is plus 25 thou on the dial out here. So I'll set my 0 there. And then it should come around to minus 25. But then I want to compare that to when I'm reading the other side. It should be minus 25 in both directions. And I don't really care so much if this 25 in and out is perfect. But I definitely want to get my dial reading here perfectly matching my dial reading here. Okay, so all set up. So now we're going from 0 on the dial. It's coming plus, almost up to the 25 we set, 22. And then the most important part is coming back to 0. So you notice the center line height of the wheel is quite a bit lower than the center of the cutting edge. And so the wheel is actually, if you look here, the wheel is on an angle. That's what's going to create the clearance angle. Okay. There you have it. A nice, clean radius, properly done, and worthy of your viewership. That'll work. That'll work. That'll work. Metal work. Metal work.